Hey you, what if I told you out of all the dining tables that I've built, this is the one that gave me the hardest time? Crazy. Thank you to Grizzly Industrial for sponsoring this video, and I'll discuss more on that later on. Well, are you ready to see how I built this table? What are you waiting for? Let's get this started. Let's go! We're gonna begin with the dining table top. I start every project with the top and then I do the base. I've laid out 6 planks. This wood is cypress. It's uneven, it teeters. I need to square it up, mill it, and get everything nice and flat, and that's what we're about to do right now. Just finished milling these boards, laid them out on the table. Turns out I made a rookie mistake. I didn't check my joiner to make sure it was square. All machinery gets out of square and you have to tweak it consistently on a daily basis. You can't rely on something to stay uniform, to stay square. Too many things go nuts in a workshop. And now I've noticed that I have all these open seams because my joiner was off by about a half a degree. Rookie mistake. Now I gotta spend some time fixing it. Look at the gaps between these planks. That is huge, and that is actually something I'm not used to. Before I move on to correcting my mistakes with these planks being uneven, I'm gonna mark this end grain. The reason I do this is so that way I will be aware of which way the grain is oriented. And this will help dictate how each plank will go in reference to seasonal wood movement. I moved the planks around to where the end grain will be up, down, kind of like a smile and a frown. This helps offset seasonal wood movement and helps prevent and minimize any warpage. Now I'm gonna correct my mistakes where the joiner was off square. I'm first gonna label the boards 1, 2, 3, so I can keep the proper orientation. Then I'm gonna make a couple of reference marks to know where they join. This is gonna be critical that I match these seams up to get this nice and square. Yes. Okay, let me get back up. Just dance it out when you fix all your mistakes. It's the best way to go. All right, let's glue this thing up. The younger version of myself just wants to grab all this lumber, hump it on my shoulders, and take it across the shop. And the older version of myself says, yo, younger version, you're an idiot. Grab the shop cart and roll it across the shop. I'm gluing this table up into 2 sections, basically 2 20-inch panels that I can glue up, run through the planer. Once they're cured and they're the right thickness, I will glue them completely up together and it will save time on sanding and milling. After you've glued up your planks, get a rag, wring it out, get it damp, not soaking wet, and just clean up your glue mess. This will make life much easier on you. Whether you run this through a planer or whether you plan on sanding it, it just makes life much easier. So clean it up now as you go. Abracadabra, alakazoo. Make these boards appear for you. What? Yeah. All right, let's do this again. Boom. Now that these boards have all been laminated together, cleaned up, and ready to move on, I'm trying to decide how I'm gonna join them to make the table base. Basically, I have two ways to go. One, mortise and tenon, or 45s and dominoes. Still trying to decide. Let's figure it out together. All right, so I just finished cutting all the tenons out. Here's the block from the bandsaw, and this is the tenon. Just toss this over your shoulder for good luck. I decided to go with a bridle joint instead of a mortise and tenon. I kind of lean toward bridle joints as being a stronger joint, although mortise and tenon is incredibly strong. I like how a bridle joint goes all the way through. So now that I've got the tenons cut on these pieces, I need to go ahead and cut the opposite on these longer members so I can join the two together. Just finished on the bandsaw making a bunch of cuts or kerfs so I can chisel out for the bridle joint on these two long members. It was pretty tricky, but I got it done. I figured it would be the easiest way to do it. The bad news is I actually cut one too many with the tenons. Two of these sets were supposed to be like this. So once again, another screw up on this build. I'm just messing everything up and having to redo so much work. Let's keep charging forward. It's always good before you do any chisel work to put another block here for a reference. It helps keep this nice and square. If you didn't have this, you could get at an angle when you're chiseling, but this keeps it nice and flat and straight down. All right, so we have our two long members cut, one here and one behind me. We have the short pieces with the tenons. We're gonna glue them up and clamp these bridle joints down. Let's get going. Now it's time to put in the opposite piece. Let's take a moment to discuss today's sponsor, Grizzly Industrial Tools. They're a family-based company operating since 1983. They provide high-quality woodworking and metalworking machinery. Working with Grizzly Industrial has been a dream of mine since I started, and it's been a pleasure using their machinery ever since. It's high quality and it holds up to high standards. If you're interested in any products, I'll have them linked in the description box below. You always want to take your square and double check. If you get out of alignment, obviously that makes the build much harder. And in this case, I'm perfectly 90 degrees. I am right on the money. If I wasn't, I would put a couple of 90-degree clampets and we would clamp them down almost like building a cabinet carcass. But that's it on this guy. I have a couple of gaps here that I'm gonna need to fix that I got a little wonky with on the bandsaw, but super easy repairs. I just pulled this center piece off the clamps. I still have to clean it up, sand it, put some roundovers on it and put it back. But I'm dry fitting all these pieces now to make sure they're gonna fit well. Now you can see the table base coming together. The final two pieces on the ends that I just did a dry fit test on, I'm gonna pull apart and glue them up and clamp it down. And then we'll move on to the next step. Two bases were glued up and clamped up. I've got one here in front of me and one back there behind me. So I'm gonna declamp this, sand it, and do any chiseling and adjustments that I need to make, and then we'll move on to doing some 1-inch roundovers on this. I love my roundovers and I'm looking forward to that part. These blocks were under clamping pressure for about 20 hours. I'm not expecting there to be too much cleanup involved, as I pre-sanded these blocks before I glued them up. I've adjusted the depth on the router to the roundover, and it's a 1-inch roundover. So let's go ahead and put this on now. Let's pre-drill some holes and get ready to attach this base together. Putting a little extra clamping pressure so the piece won't shift when we get ready to screw it down. We're going to be using lag screws, which are just an easy fastener for lag bolts. They work really well. They're amazing. I highly recommend them. All right, let's repeat that step for the other side. Let's move the base around so it can overhang off the other end of the table. Installing leveling feet, I have a Forstner bit with a stop collar on it. Gonna switch out to a 5/16 bit. Switching out to a wood tap, which is a 1/4 inch, and this is saving myself the step of using threaded inserts, which is not necessary if you use this. Installing adjustable feet are just a high quality step in making sure your piece doesn't teeter when you get to a house. The floors are always unlevel, and this just ensures that nothing will teeter. Now, instead of using threaded inserts, I used wood taps to do my thread into the wood. I've actually tested this and it's stronger, plus it's saving me money and an extra step. Let's flip the table base over. Ugh. And then we'll have a little fine sanding to do from not laying down a blanket. Rookie move. right, let's do a final sand of 220 on this tabletop and move on. All right, tabletop is sanded. We're ready to put the stain on it. I'm using this reactive stain that's gonna keep the wood naturally with its wood tones with a hint of gray. I'm gonna use this applicator and get started. And this, just toss over the shoulder for good luck. Like I said before, this is a reactive stain, meaning it's gonna change color tones slightly as it cures. You can see the drying streaks now. That's gonna leave behind a more of a natural wood tone with hints of gray. Getting ready to spray the sealer on the dining tabletop, and I'm gonna be using the Fuji Spray Q5 Platinum system. This thing is legit. Check this out. I just finished with my first coat of poly on the table. I've let it sit for 1 hour. Now I'm gonna use 1500 grit sandpaper just to lightly go over it and get any dust or nips that may have fallen into it. Now using a tack cloth, I'm gonna wipe all the excess dust I just created from sanding. All right, we just wrapped up the top. I applied 6 coats. It looks amazing. The finish came out exactly how I wanted it. And now I'm gonna show you how we're gonna attach the top to the base. So let's go on over and do that. Using a biscuit joiner, we're gonna go around and cut little slots that we'll use fasteners to attach to the top. The fasteners will be these Z-clips. These help with seasonal wood movement. They will go into the slot like this. This will attach to the tabletop, and it allows for wood movement to go back and forth. The top is just placed on the base. I'm gonna attach it with Z-clips from the underneath. The Z-clip just goes directly into the slot, and then zip a screw straight through. Easy. If you guys enjoyed this video, well, don't forget to smash that subscribe button below and check out some of these videos over here or over here. And if you want to support what I do, support the companies that support me. I'll have a link to all the products and tools used in this video in the description box below. All right, guys, get after it, and I'll see you next time. Peace!